I'll introduce myself now and at the end. I had a company whose name you heard right now, but outside of that, I studied neurosciences in the US. I did 2 startups. The time I did the second startup, that time AI was not so big. I was borderline burnt out. So what is burnout is something I wanted to study, so I went to the US, to Boston to study management, and then kind of branched into neurosciences. And that's a lot about human intelligence, and then that pads very well with artificial intelligence. So we'll talk today about some of those kinds of topics, and let's see how many of you, relate to those particular things. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, while the next slide shows up, how many people have attended a session in the last 1 year without hearing generative AI words? Somewhere, any tech conference. Any conference have you attended without generative AI? Everybody has heard that word, right? You don't even walk into a conference, the office boy is talking about generative AI. You look at yesterday I was taking a vehicle from the airport. I'm not exaggerating, the Toyota driver was talking about generative AI. And he was asking me, GenAI, job jayega, all that kind of, and I was wondering, okay, looks like it's gone very deep compared to what I'd expected. So a lot of talk about GenAI. Can you go to the next slide, please? I don't know who's operating the slides. Is AI bot operating the slides by any chance? There seems to be a... Can you change the slide, please? Okay, great. How many believe that GenAI is hype? There's one guy who believes, there's more that believe it's a hype. Hang on, this looks a little more interesting session. I asked the same question in the US, the answer was different. Hold on. How many believe GenAI is a hype? Raise your hands. You don't have to worry, they'll not take you to jail or something, so you can raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 10. How many believe GenAI is already a reality, which means you are experiencing it in your life right now? How many are seeing that? Some people have not raised hand in either of the two. If I press this one, I can change the slides myself. Okay. This is human intelligence, actually. It's given completely to my hands, actually. Okay. Sorry, how many are already seeing it as a reality? Can you continue to raise your hands? Okay. Some have not raised hands on either side, so somewhere in the middle. We don't know if it's a hype, we don't know it's a reality. Okay, no worries. So we'll figure it out, actually. I was in the US delivering a talk of this kind, and then I asked a lot of people, what do you think about GenAI? And then some of these are CXOs, mind you, and a good number, in fact, in the session on the priority were CXOs. I asked them, what do you think about GenAI? And then these were some of those. You would have seen this on the internet also. If you're not seen on the internet, you would see it with one of the well-known consulting firms. A good number of CXOs are not actively encouraging GenAI. It's a fantastic development. It turns out a lot of them are not encouraging. Because a lot of them are thinking, we heard of robotic process automation, we heard of all these bots and all that. Looks like GenAI is something similar. A reasonable number is also encouraging, but a good number are not encouraging, actually. Here's another interesting slide for you. When asked, what is the reason? What's the concern? All those kinds of things. And then when you go deeper, deeper, deeper and ask, a few words hit. Fear, lack of trust, ethics, hallucinations, and all of those kinds of words, etc. came up. And then what I did is I took all of those things, narrowed them down, and then the words, all of them came a little bit to human emotions. Fear, worry, loss. And I'll show you one slide that might be quite interesting to you, actually. This is a survey. Most of you must have seen this survey if you've been in the tech industry. That survey showed 61%. This is very recent. It's not 2 years ago, 5 years ago, very recent. 61% of the people feel there could be a loss of job if GenAI takes over in reality. Is that going to happen or no? I don't think so, but I'll come to that towards the end of the session. 61, that's a big number. So in this huge pool of CXOs that I spoke to, I said, what can be done to translate this GenAI from what it is to reality. This is a wonderful tool. I think we all need to use it very well. And important point that came up was, without getting too lost into a lot of things, it was all about help us understand this a little bit better. Tame this animal. Make it easy for us to relate to this particular one. And summarized into an easy language, help us manage our emotions. A lot of us tend to look at CXOs, and this is a pool that I work with quite a bit, or personally network quite a bit in different things. A lot of us tend to feel, when somebody becomes a CEO, CXO, whatever, they are these superhuman beings that have no emotions and all that. Contrary, they probably have higher than what a fresher would have, because they're going through a lot of things in their own life. They're going through a lot of challenges in their own life. So it turns out that all of these emotions help us manage them well and translate it into one line. I'll return to exactly this point at the end of the presentation. We need a high touch before high tech succeeds. I'm repeating that line and you can process it in your mind. Before high tech succeeds, help us with the high touch. High touch is all about simplicity, ease, helping people relate their emotions in a particular level, ensuring people understand that they will not lose their jobs. If anything, they will be benefited from it. There was a great line which came up just about a few days back, where a lady whom I'll not name made a wonderful line saying, I want GenAI to do my dishes so that I can focus on creativity on writing, not to do my creativity on writing so that I can do my dishes and all of those things. Have you read it somewhere? How many agree with that particular point? If GenAI will do all your job and then tell you go back and clean your floors and do your washing machine, how many will be excited with GenAI? A few people are still excited. You want to go back to the washing machine days, actually. Not bad. We will, ensure. Most people want to do the high-end works so that the low end is taken care of GenAI. That's not happening. GenAI seems to be writing all the paras, all the documents, and people are worried my creativity will go for a toss. How can this be addressed? So if you're a CXO or not a CXO, whatever be your role that you're playing in your current organization, all I'm going to delve in this talk is human intelligence aspect. I'm a neuroscience researcher, which means I study the brains. There is something here. Sometimes when I say brains, people, using their eyes are looking the other side. What is this guy talking about actually? And then I have to tell you also have one actually. You don't have to look at the neighbor next to you. Everyone has one. And then whether we put it to the right use or no, we don't know, but everybody has one actually. So I'm going to talk about that organ. And then all the other sessions will bankroll that particular one actually. Okay, great. So do we need HI for AI to succeed? This is the one that I'm going to talk about a little bit more in detail actually. Let me ask you a question. What do you do with your brain? Every morning you get up, do something, you then go back to sleep at the end of the day, whatever. What do you do with your brain all through the day? You don't have to brush you brush your teeth, you open the brain and then you don't have to brush and all of those things. Okay, great. What do you do with it? You use it for something or you don't use it at all? Or some people have that organ when God gave, at the end they give it back. Thank you, I never used this organ only. It was a useless organ for me. No, you use it for something, right? Use it or not use it? Okay. What do you think it must be doing? Some output, like I asked you one question right now, and you gave an answer yes, or somebody also probably said no, whatever. Yes or no, don't worry about it, whatever you gave. Some output came because I gave some input, etc. So your brain takes input and generates output. How many agree with this? Okay, some are not agreeing, so let me also understand that particular category. Okay, so you give some input and then some output is generated. How is the input given to the brain? Through the sense organs, right? I mean, GenAI, you're hearing, etc. Don't worry about it. Some people are worried of answering which complicated algorithm I have to use. No. I'm the starting session today. The first session is always light and then you delve deeper into complicated topics. So don't worry about that actually. A lot of people are standing at the back. You can pull a chair so that you don't have to stand. It's a pain to stand for 40 minutes. I've been a perpetual backbencher all my life, so I can empathize with this standing culture actually. You might want to sit. Okay, great. So is only input and output the only thing that your brain does? No. There's something else that it does. This input comes to your brain from your eyes, from your nose, from your mouth, what you talk, etc., what you hear. This is where input comes from. How many agree with this particular point that input comes from these? Some which were never raising the hand are doing a little bit like this, still wondering, will I get called out? Not worry, I won't call you on stage if you raise your hand, whatever be the case. This is where you guys are hearing, you are getting an input right now from where? From your ears. You're listening to me. Yes or no? And those that are already asleep are getting input from the body. They had a heavy breakfast and already your body is talking to you, not any of the sense organs, so you're not able to hear me. So it comes. You won't believe when I tell you this point, a lot of inputs come to the brain compared to what you're thinking. So I'm going to ask you one question, and you saw this particular one. Current research shows that your brain gets about 11 million pieces of information per second right now. Right now in this room, whether you're standing or you're sitting or you're sleeping. Hopefully you're awakened already if you're sleeping, but if you're not awake, no worries, continue in that state also. 11 million is 1.1 crore. 11 million is an American way. In India, we call it 1.1 crore. 1.1 crore? 1.1 crore pieces of information you are getting right now in this room every second. What kind of information? When I stop talking, do you hear a humming of the AC or no? You are ignoring that if you want to listen to me, and ignoring me if you want to listen to that. Yes or no? You have an inherent ability to ignore the wrong things. Yes, no? GenAI is still to develop this capability. I'll talk GenAI gradually along the way. It's natural. A 2-year-old child also can do it actually. So if there are 11 million pieces of information every second, lot of it everywhere. There are lights, there's a lot of noise, you're hearing something, your body is telling you something, you're uncomfortable, comfortable, AC is high, will my friends come in, will I get asked a question, all kinds of information. So question to you, if so many pieces of information are coming, how many pieces are you consciously aware of per second? There are 4 options. How many agree it's, I'll go from bottom to top, I'll go from top to bottom. How many think it is A? Few people. How many think it is B? No, B, very few people. How many think it is C? Even fewer. Okay, as I'm going down, energy itself is going down, I think. How many think it is D? Okay, some more are raising. Okay, I thought that as I go down, nobody will raise the hand actually. Okay, so most said D, which means out of 1.1 crore or 11 million pieces of information, you believe 14,000 you are aware of, etc. Unfortunately, the answer is something else actually. The very first one. 99.9996 and so on percent of information is screened out by your brain altogether. If this same question were to be asked to the world's most powerful GenAI algorithm in operation right now, if 11 million pieces of information are given, all of it is processed, explaining why you need all these data centers. Your brain, in a small part, is able to determine, no, that's useless, these lights are not right, the AC is okay, that guy is photographing, but I don't need to look at that guy, except for the more handsome people and the more beautiful women who might look at him and not me. And then those blue lights are not right, my friend may be outside, I don't want to focus. This is natural. Given to each one of you. This explains why you are able to do a good job of filtering. The first thing that you do very naturally, which some of the world's best algorithm developers around the world are doing, how to filter what your brain is doing so naturally, how to build it in GenAI, how to do this filtering so useless pieces of information go out. How to ensure that if a huge amount of data is given, the wrong data is automatically removed so the algorithm can focus on the right data. I'll talk about it in a short while. Okay, so you are taking some input, filtering output. How many agree this is how your brain must be working? You must also be. Some people just take input and output. Idhar se suna, idhar aa gaya. They listen. Kya baat kar raha hai? Lay off ho raha hai kya? Until, whatever. Some people processing, sometimes they don't. Okay, some people also filter information. Is this all you're doing? Is this all? Okay, I'll tell you something more that you could be doing. What is this? Dots. Bots, dots. It's an AI session. I would have heard bots, dots. Dots or no? Or you don't know? Okay, great, good. You're sure you want to change your answer? Dots? Some people are getting bold now. At the beginning of the session, boldness was little less. Some have now started using the filtering algorithm better than in the morning. What do you think? Same letters, same dots. What is it now? 5. 5, okay. 2 squares. Okay. Anything else? Art. Art. Anything, if you went to an art gallery, I have nothing against art, and those guys are great. One time somebody took me to an art gallery in New York City. You know this museum very well. And the painting was of some tennis player. I could neither see the player, nor the ball, nor the hall. And after some point, I was and predictably, you are worried to say that. However, I spoke, and then the individual said, "This is creativity." It is. Okay. Anything now? Boldness is increasing more. What is it? Okay. Somebody said 3 also. Somebody said something more. Anything else? Any more answers? Sorry? W, black and white technology. Sorry, black and white what? Okay. Inverted W or something. McDonald's, sorry. Oh, McDonald's. Okay, the inverted M of McDonald's. That's creativity. Somebody is using more than filtering algorithm, I should say here. Okay. When I showed the first, somebody also said K. How did you get K from this one? From here? I didn't say K by any stretch. Then as I started showing, something started coming. The same input, different people gave me different output. Yes, no? If you to go to a computer and press K, will the output change based on the person typing, or output is always the same? A computer and AIs of the world, they could be unpredictable, but for the large part, they're built for predictability. What is a human being built for? Creativity. Predictability is a part of creativity. Something which that lady is mentioning, I want AI to do my dishes so that I can focus. Wonderful comment, whatever be the case. Which means, if I were to add those, now it looks like 3 actually if those lines are drawn, etc. So if you see, in addition to input, output, you're doing some processing. That's how somebody came up with M, McDonald's and all. Yes or no? So between an input and an output, outside of filtering useless information, once the useful information comes, you and everybody's brain is also doing processing. How many agree with that? Okay. Some don't agree that. Yes, that's right. Some input and output direct. Some input filter and output direct. Okay, great. Some people also do processing. Is this all that we do? What is this, 6 or 9? Is it 6, 9 or something else? The bold people, please answer. Sorry? Thank you. Anything more? If I ask you, it is 1 of 6 or 9, that's all. So I'm trying to bring your boldness down a little bit more. Is it 6 or 9? Which one? How many think it is 6? How many think it is 9? What do the others think it is then? Some didn't raise hand for 6, some didn't raise for... Earlier some people were doing like this, now it's complete like this. So what's it? How many think it is 6? I'll ask again. Oh, some more have raised. How many think it is 9? What are the others thinking? It depends. How many agree with this answer? This is a unique gift given only to the human brain that those GenAI people are trying to figure, which means it is 6 also, 9 also. Depends on which direction you're looking. Your perspective decides the answer. How many agree with this one? It's a unique skill that's a part of high touch of the brain. That's completely absent. This contextual understanding is completely absent. It's called fine-tuning. So once an input comes, you filter the useless pieces, you process them, and then you fine-tune to ensure you give the right answer. This is a very special skill that all of us are blessed with. How many agree with this one, that all of these we must be doing? This explains why you're in a performance review and your manager tells you your performance is poor. You feel like something you feel. Would you do that? Huh? You fine-tune your response. Thank you, sir. I'll agree with you. I will improve. I'm a continuous learner. I love my association with you. Behind the back, you may not say that comment. I enjoy your company. Shall we go for a cup of tea? Fine-tuning. Contextualization of information, etc. How many do this? All of us must be doing. Some people are not doing, then you will know the consequence of that in the next review. Try it. Or don't try it. Don't put my name. That guy in AI mentioned, he told me to do this, etc. I have no role to play in that, actually. Okay, so input, filtering, output, fine-tuning, memory, etc. I put all of them together in one diagram. Yes or no? Miraculously, this diagram looks like how the world of AI is evolved. Because the AI is evolved from our own brains. The ones that evolved it in California largely used our brain itself to create those. The outermost filtering is AI. The processing, and I won't get into the head-to-head because you need a computer scientist and some of those people in order to get that head-to-head comparison, and people that also know neurosciences, since people on the left don't know the right and people on the right don't know left. I will not talk that right now. And then you have deep learning. How many saw the diagram on the left or at least know those terms? How many know deep learning? I didn't say how many do deep learning. At least how many know the word? Okay, now you can, more hands are raised right now. Okay, then neural networks, machine learning. Have you heard the machine learning? Okay, great. These days it's very fashionable to say, what do you work on? ML. You know, whatever. I saw one CV a few days back. Somebody came for an interview. You know, I'm digressing from the topic, but important one. After I saw the resume, this guy almost felt like he invented AI ML. The skill section, whole page. AI ML, this, learning that, every skill. Every. I called the guy for an interview. And then I said, have you heard of a primary key? That guy said, yeah. I said, in the old days, RDBMS, one table had how many primary keys or how many should? He said, every column is primary key all the time. Anyway, okay, so this is the thing. So what we all are doing is this information. So a world of AI evolved from the world of human intelligence, and a lot of people are not understanding at the root of success of making GenAI a success is understanding how this works. If you don't know how to filter, and you don't know how to process and fine-tune as well as you should be, you'll have a wonderful use case. Your CIO will not buy it. You have not done a fine job of explaining. The case was good. Explanation went wrong. And so on and so forth. So I'll come to some of those points in a short while. Some of you may wonder, filter, process, fine-tune, how is it done in the first place? And how do I leverage it? And when it doesn't happen, what happens in my organization if I'm an employee or if I'm a CIO? So I'll talk about the filter part of it actually. Filtering in the brain is enabled by a lot of complicated algorithms. I don't want to get into that, but by a chemical called as dopamine. It's a chemical in the brain. How many heard the word dopamine? How did you hear that? Huh? You opened your brain itself. Hammer it and let me study the chemical. How many? Okay, a lot of people raise their hand. How do you know? These are the good questions to ask. Right now, is dopamine flowing in your brain or no? You can answer those questions. Are you excited? Like some people, when they go to the office, you know how they go? Some people move like this only, so that it takes more time to go to the office actually. You're dragging yourself to office. You go to the office, spend 2 hours at the coffee machine, not at your desk. That's called dragging yourself to work. No, these are real situations, guys. The absence of dopamine is a source of disaster, and a lot of careers have been destroyed by the absence of this one. And a lot of people seem to miss that. So when you get up in the morning, for a large part of the day, are you absorbed? Right now, if you're not absorbed in what I'm talking, you are disinterested, the chemical is not flowing in your brain. Or you are absorbing, but questioning, what is this guy talking, etc. The chemical has gone down. Every moment it is going up or down. And is your motivation intrinsic? Like, why did you come to this event? If the reason is that boss told me, go. Nothing is being learned by you, go. Extrinsic. But if you came because you loved it, you want to learn, intrinsic. You understand the difference? If your motivation throughout the day is intrinsic, if you are absorbed in what you're doing a major part of the day, now and in your office, and you're excited, you have high dopamine flowing in the brain. If not, it'll go down. Excitement doesn't have to be told. It is felt. It is felt from your talk, from your body language. The listeners can interpret it automatically. You don't have to tell it actually. That's when dopamine flows. Now, what happens if it doesn't flow? Productivity goes down, half. If you find yourself doing a work at the start of a week, and 8 weeks from then, you take twice as much time to do it, dopamine levels have gone down. However good the GenAI algorithm is. However exciting the work is, however great the culture of the company that you work in is, it doesn't matter. And then here is an interesting one, and then I'll talk about what happens in your organization when this goes down. 1,000th of one droplet, hear me out very carefully, 1,000th of one droplet of dopamine generates roughly as much energy, excitement in your brain as what a 6,000 cc car generates. 6,000 cc. How many own a car? Two-wheeler? Bicycle? Okay. Car. How many cc is your car? 1,000? 10,000? No. 1,000? 1,500? 2,000? 800? Maruti 800 was called 800 because 800 is 800 cc. And 1,000 was called 1,000 cc. 6,000 cc car. They go from 0 to 100 in how much? 2-3 seconds. You can't even see the car on the next door flyover. Before that itself, it's gone. Or it'll crash somewhere. I mean, whichever way you look at it actually. This much is generated when you have dopamine flowing in your own brain. What if it doesn't flow? The absence of the energy will have to be made up by pushing yourself. When you don't have natural, you have to push yourself, force yourself to do work. When you force yourself against your will, whatever success you're supposed to get, you get it against willpower. You will earn in your 20s and 30s only to spend all that money in hospital in 50s and 60s. Anything against will damage a lot of things, etc. Extremely dangerous, etc. These are signs of low dopamine. And read all of those. I have no interest in reading any of those things. Demotivated, overwhelmed. This is what is happening in the GenAI world. When I go to a lot of CXOs, they tell me, I'm on the fence. I know it's okay, but my people are not bringing me right use cases. Those use cases are not producing the right results. I'm not getting the productivity. I'm spending money, but I spend $1,000, I get output worth $1,000. Why should I waste my money? Or let me wait and watch. Let some other companies do it. If you're sitting on the fence, you or your CXO or your team members, your team is lacking dopamine. Your CXO is lacking. You need to work differently. Don't create more and more complex algorithms. It's a waste of time. You are wasting, you think you're working hard, you will produce no results in GenAI. Your adoption will be low. Your adoption will be low. Change your focus. Decisions not happening. I'm presenting. Still no acceptance. Still no budget being given. I am not understanding how to use my filtering algorithm correctly. That's the analysis. And you have to put efforts to use that algorithm correctly. Any sitting on the fence, work or no work, you can also use it in personal life. You're getting somebody, you're proposing, the person is not saying yes. Yes, no person is saying. You want to marry the person, person is not. Again, low dopamine. Don't use this there. You have to use it in work. I'm just saying everywhere in life is the same. Same chemical. Should I go to Cypher AI or no? Some people are outside. You know, I was coming. They didn't know I was a speaker, right? Everybody's wearing a coat. They thought koi to aadmi aa gaya. And then some were looking. Jaane ka kya nahi yaar? 9:15 subah chai wai peete hain. Sitting on the fence. Dopamine levels are low. If you ever find low traction for GenAI in your company, this chemical is low in the brains of your teams or your managers. If you don't work on it, your GenAI initiatives will fail. We actually tested this in a few companies in the US. In India, this testing is a little bit not done, but those things. Okay, let me talk about the next one. I spoke about filtering a little bit. Let me talk about processing and what happens and what signs you see in your organizations for GenAI adoption that should tell you to change your techniques. Change your tactics, guys. Use your brains. A lot of people are doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results. It's crazy. Harder, more hard. There'll be GenAI use case. It's not going to work. You have to put a little different efforts, and I'll talk about some of those things. Okay, let's talk about the processing a little bit. That's done through another chemical called oxytocin. How many heard this second chemical's name? Fewer than the first, actually. One person has raised hand so high, I almost said they'll touch the roof, actually, in the corner. Have you heard a lot of this one? No, okay, great, no problems. What does this chemical do? Processing. Processing in your brain and your manager's brain, if you're a manager, in your team's brain. Low processing is at the root of a lot of poor GenAI adoption. Lot. I'll talk about this one a little bit more. Okay, let's do this exercise very quickly. I do have 5 minutes. All of you are ready to do something? Ready? Not ready? Can you stand up? I will know who's sleeping also, actually. Those that slept have just woken up, actually. Okay, great. No problems, actually. No problem. Sit down. I was just thinking how many were awake, actually. Okay. So, think about the last time you felt good in the company of a friend, acquaintance, not spouse. Some people feel udhar kabhi acha lagta hi nahi, actually. So, let's talk about friend. When was the last, did you ever feel good in the company of some friend of yours? Sometime you felt good or no? Or you never felt good? Then leave that person, find someone else, actually. You felt good? Okay. What did that person say to you or do to you that you felt good? Some are wondering, actually, what to answer. What did that person say to you? Did the person say anything, or because the person spoke nothing, you felt good? Muh band rakha. Thank God this guy's mouth is closed. Appreciation and kindness. Is it one of these 4 or subcategories? Understanding. Is it one of these 4 or subcategories? Appreciation. Pat on the back is appreciation. Maybe high five. True words of appreciation, not fake appreciation. Not fake appreciation. For example, if you suddenly come and tell me, you're so handsome. Going by my facial features, I will find it difficult to accept this one, actually. Okay, or providing support when you need, most important. A lot of people need some, at the time when you need support the most. That's what's missing right now, when that's given. How did I know this one? There's nothing there to discuss. These are the base of support, and all of us have to do it all the time in the GenAI world also, and we are trained to do it. Some of you may think, all this is mushy topics, I did it in college. No, we are born. I'll show this to you. And hopefully, this is children. I showed the last time also this one. This is children. I don't think the guys can speak, or ladies, or whatever. Children. When you become adult, what happens? All that is forgotten. Hey, I don't do all these things. Subah ki good morning. What good morning? It's all so much workload is there, etc. You will be surprised how much tech adoption has been lost because of absence of focus on some of these areas. And I'll show you very quickly what happens when there's low oxytocin. There's a word in the center, number 3 and number 5. If you find turf battles of two teams, and I see this so often in so many countries, even in Europe where I speak, two teams are trying to fight for GenAI, etc. None gets acceptance. Low oxytocin. And the last one is most important, poor stakeholder management. You can do any high level of GenAI. If you can't manage your stakeholders, your manager at the top, the people reporting to you, the peers, you will not succeed. The smartest computer engineers have failed in this area. These are super smart people whom I meet very, very often. Here in this country also, and also in the West. Very simple, lack of trust. If you're proposing and there's trust loss from management, this one is going wrong actually. So that's a process thing. So anytime you are not getting traction for GenAI, or you're putting a lot of effort, success is not being met, those two are at the heart of it actually. Then I'll come to the third one, how fine-tuning is happening. I'll come to fine-tuning actually, and that's through another chemical. Okay, great. So for this one, to explain this fine-tuning, how it happens, I would need somebody as a volunteer. Please come on stage, whoever wants to volunteer. Oh, that's fairly quick. Normally when I ask, half the people don't want to work. They are afraid, okay, what will this guy do to me? Thank you. What is your name? I'm Jalal. Jalal? Yeah. Jalal, great. Because Jalal volunteered, Jalal will do nothing, you will do something. This is the danger in not volunteering when I am speaking actually. Great. Ready? Okay. Ready or no? Okay. Then you have to stand up actually for this exercise. Okay, great. How many next to you are not standing? They must be asleep. Let them sleep for some more time. They are probably... Okay. Ready, everyone? Sure? Okay, this is what you have to do. Hang on. Hear out very carefully. You have to make Jalal feel like he's Tom Cruise. And he looks, I mean, oh, he's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, sorry. Seems to be a super well-built gentleman, actually. You understand, you know Arnold Schwarzenegger? Shah Rukh Khan, okay, that's also okay. If you don't know this Hollywood, let's talk India. We're in this country, Shah Rukh. You have to make him feel like a Hollywood actor has come. He should feel excited. You can shout, you can punch in there, you can do anything. And if they don't do it, we should not let them go only, okay? If you're not satisfied, you are the judge, actually. Start! Sorry, he's not happy. He seems to be demanding more. He seems to be happy now. Thank you, Jalal. Thank you for interrupting. Sit down. Okay. For those that participated in this exercise, and there are much more advanced versions which we do in other countries, your exercise was to make Jalal feel good, yes or no? Did you feel good on doing this one? Why? Some guy is already using the words a little more strongly than I had expected. Some guy got awake at the right point, actually. Okay, so no, thank you for the use of the word. It's a little beyond oxytocin. It's actually something else called as serotonin, actually. This chemical works only when you help another person without expecting anything in return. Simple things like CSR and all that. More advanced things like being a part of managers and companies' goals. A lot of people miss this point. If you're not a part of your manager's goals when GenAI adoption is happening, but you're doing your own thing in the corner, neither will this be in your brain nor this. The adoption will fail. And these are some of those things. And I'll summarize in one picture. If you ever feel in your organization the big picture is going missing, small cases are being done. This case, that case, this case, that case. This is happening in a lot of companies also here. There's no big picture to adoption. It's because serotonin is not flowing. Questions on ethics are coming. Remember the first slide I showed you. Is it ethical? Is it appropriate? That's when serotonin has gone missing. I'll put it all together, and when they all come together, the culmination happens in a part of the brain called anterior insula. All of these culminate together. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin are the foundation of GenAI adoption. You can have all the advanced talk, all the use cases that succeed me from today for the next 3 days. But if this is missed, I can assure you the adoption will be low, average, probably even zero. There's excitement, but there's no action. There's excitement, there's a lot of hype, hype doesn't translate to reality actually. This is the heart of all of those things as you implement what I spoke in the earlier one. I speak quite a bit on GenAI itself. This is the human intelligence part. Mark my words, those sessions' impact is 5%. When I speak human intelligence and people internalize, I've seen a lot of people change the way they message. They go to a meeting, the presentation is completely different. The cases chosen are very differently. The presentation methodology is different. The stakeholder management has changed. If people really adopt some of the things appropriately. And I've seen GenAI adoption drastically increase. The cases were same, remember. As good, the cases may be good or bad. If you can't do these kinds of things, it is not going to lead to success. So I'll end by exactly where I started the whole discussion. The biggest barrier to adoption of anything, and this is a GenAI session, so I'm talking GenAI, is not high tech, it's high touch. High touch precedes high tech. People are doing the other way around. High tech, fancy words, AI, ML, everything. Not understanding that before that is high touch. No high touch, no adoption of high tech. Average adoption, meaningless adoption. High touch precedes high tech. How many agree with what I'm saying? A lot of people have raised their hand. Okay, thank you. Good to see that one. I'm then going to put 2-3 more quotes as is, process them at your own pace, and then you can take it from there. A lot of people are trying to figure out what machines are thinking. Please don't forget the strengths that make you a human first. You have a filtering algorithm that no GenAI has got. If you forget that, between you and machine, what's the difference? You have stopped using the algorithm anymore. Now a machine can do what you're doing. Now the jobs are replaced. If a machine and you are competing, you will always fail. Machine will succeed. It can do much better. But if you're using your unique human strengths, human will succeed, not machine, etc. And you will do a good job, and human can, and this can work together. This one is most important. I speak this one quite a bit also in the academic courses they've now started teaching in the US. The real danger is not that computers are becoming human-like. The real danger is humans are becoming like computers. No emotions, no understanding, no appreciation of high touch. Work 20 hours a day, no greeting, just get into the machine, etc. The danger is humans have started behaving like machines. Adoption is going down. The last one is the most important. Humans are to be valued and technology is to be used. A lot of people are valuing technology and using humans. How many agree with what I'm saying? You don't have to raise your hand also. Implicitly you can. The biggest danger, forget GenAI adoption, your job adoption itself will go down. The real danger is not that computers are becoming human-like. That probably is not happening, the second part. And humans are meant to be valued and all. Don't forget these points, guys. These are extremely important points. Extremely important. You will be amazed. You may say, are these topics discussed at CEO and CIO level, which is the level I speak at? Most. This one is spoken more than GenAI, where CEOs are gradually accepting maybe we have missed. Maybe we need to have higher touch, which is where a lot of things are coming in the grand scheme of things. High touch precedes high tech, and I'm done. How many agree with what I'm saying? How many now? I started with this. For how many? Is this making sense to you? Okay, I went quick because I had only a short amount of time. My purpose was to set the tone for Cypher AI session by helping you recognize high touch. Because high tech adoption, you will hear a lot of times.